St. Patrick's Day, the holiday which started over 1500 years ago, honoring the patron saint of Ireland himself, St. Patrick. For centuries, St. Patrick's Day in Ireland was actually quite religious, focused on the church, family, and reflection, as most holidays are. But when Irish immigrants came over to America, especially during the Great Irish Famine, the holiday slowly transitioned into what we know it as today, where major cities such as New York host huge parades, rivers are dyed green for some reason, and let's be honest, for a lot of Americans that don't even have any Irish lineage, this holiday basically just became an excuse for you and your buddies to go drinking before noon without being judged. Which brings us to me buying every single Irish beer I could find at my local liquor store to rank them on a tier list from S to F and see which beer you should be drinking this St. Patrick's Day. First up we have probably the most iconic and most famous Irish beer of them all, Guinness, which is my personal favorite beer of all time. It was established in 1759 by Arthur Guinness, who, believe it or not, signed a 9,000-year lease for the St. James Gate Brewery for £45 a year, which is insane in its own right and still has about 8,700 years to go on that lease. So before we actually drink the Guinness, there is a proper technique to pouring, and I will be doing that technique properly, even though I unfortunately don't have my Guinness pint glass, which I have 2 personalized Guinness pint glasses with my name engraved on it, which fortunately for me in college, the local bar that we would go to, shout out McGovern's in Newark, New Jersey, is I believe like one of the top 10 Irish pubs in New Jersey. And every year around St. Patrick's Day, the Guinness company brings out people to the pub to laser engrave pint glasses. But enough of that. There is a proper way to pour a Guinness, which is take your glass at a 45-degree angle and you're gonna pour about 3/4 of the way out. Let it sit for 60 seconds, and then once the beer is entirely black and the nitrogen bubbles settle, that's when you're allowed to pour the rest of the beer in, but then you have to wait another 90 seconds for the entire thing to settle. I'm not gonna make you wait for all of that, so we're gonna do a little time swipe. Okay, we're back, and as you can see, the beer is completely black, and I let it settle for the precise amount of time of 119.5 seconds. Look at that beautiful, milky perfection. Oh my God. It's just so pretty. Cheers. There's just nothing like a Guinness. And I know a lot of people don't like it because it's bitter, it's flat, it's different, but it is so good. Like, this smile is genuine. That is such a perfect beer, which, including my own bias, is gonna give it an S tier because it's the standard Irish stout in my opinion. And yes, I have a little bit of Irish lineage, even though I don't claim to be Irish, but a pretty girl that I'm currently talking to is 100% Irish, so I hope I don't disappoint you with any of my rankings. But overall, yeah, Guinness, getting an S tier, that to me is the standard of Irish stouts. We have like 2 more stouts on this list to try, which I've never had before. So I'm very interested to see how they stack up against the king of stouts, Guinness. Next up, so besides the Guinness, I've never had any other Irish beer. I mean, minus, what's that, Magners, which is kind of like a cider. It is a cider. It's not kind of like a cider. Besides Magners and Guinness, those are the only Irish like beers I've ever drank, which makes me very excited to try this. Smithwick's is an Irish beer company with brewing claims dating back all the way to 1710 at the St. Francis Abbey Brewery in Kilkenny, which originally was a 13th century Franciscan monastery, meaning monks were brewing this beer way before the brand was even established, which is pretty freaking cool if you ask me. And we didn't just get any Smithwick's beer, we got their special red ale with the red color coming from the specific barley that they use and the fermentation process, which again, just makes the beer so much cooler. And like I said, this one isn't a stout, which is kind of weird for me to think about, like an Irish beer not being a stout. And it's not actually an ale, but a lager. I don't really know the semantics of that or how that works, but all I know is that it's got a cool red color. that comes from the specific kind of barley that they use when brewing. Let's see that color for the first. Ooh, it's pouring out kind of brown though. I don't know, maybe if it settles, it's gonna get red. Okay, after pouring it, it is more of like a red than brown with like a deep amber color to it. But I don't know why I was expecting it to be like red 40 red. But yeah, I mean, that looks really cool. When I hold it up to my light here, it is very amber instead of red. But I'll run with it. And it smells like very sweet, kind of. I'm excited. Let's try it out. Cheers to Smithwick's Red Ale. Ooh, whoa, I like that a lot. Wow, it's like making me salivate because of like how refreshing it is. That's a new experience. Overall, this is very nice. It's refreshing, it's crisp. It does have a little sweetness on the back end with like a malty amber flavor to it. I don't even know how to rank that. I mean, based off of like the American beer tier list that I just did, which if you haven't seen that, you should click one of these corners, it's gonna be up there. But based on that, this is very similar to like a Sam Adams Boston Lager, which is kind of interesting to me that you can have two companies completely separated by ocean, turning out a very similar product using similar ingredients that were grown in different climates. Again, if that makes sense, if you're following me. Yeah, I'm gonna say, if you're a fan of Sam Adams Boston Lager, Smithwick's Red Ale is the Irish version of that. It's very good. It's not offensive, it's crispy, it's refreshing, and you get that nice little sweetness on the back end. I don't know if it's S-tier quality like a Guinness was, but I think I can positively put that at an A. Claps to you, Smithwick. That was fantastic. Yeah, I'm good with saying A tier for the Smithwicks. Next up we have Harp Lager, which if the logo looks very familiar to a beer that we just drank, it's because it is. Harp was created in 1960 by Guinness to compete with the growing popularity of other European lagers. So Guinness literally hired a German brewmaster to help design and create the recipe, making Harp Ireland's first major modern lager. I already love Guinness, and I actually never knew until writing this episode that Harp was a Guinness brand. Like, I knew the logo looked very similar to Guinness, which in reality, it's the same logo. Like, the Harp is the same, and that's on me for not realizing it. But I just thought it was like, I don't know, the Harp was like an Irish thing, and Guinness couldn't really like trademark a Harp, but it is the same company, and it's just their lager, which became the first modern Irish lager, which is pretty cool because we just went from Smithwick's, which is a red ale, but it's a lager, but it was created in the 1700s and also has history with the monks making it. And in contrast to its big brother, Guinness Stout, there's no proper way to pour this, so I'm just gonna pour it like a normal beer. And yeah, already that looks like an American lager. I'll tell you that much. It's got the color to it. Ooh. Whoa. That's actually like a beautiful pour. I'm very proud of myself, and I'm allowed to be proud of myself. That's cool. Actually, upon like looking at it further, it's darker than American lagers, which is promising because in my opinion, when it comes to beer, color means flavor. Down the hatch. Anheuser-Busch, take notes, bro. If you were to ask me what I think a beer would taste like, that's what I would say. Like, I don't know. There's something inherent to me that, like, when I think of a beer, when I think of a beer, I think of a lager or a, like, pale yellow colored drink that's bubbly and refreshing with a nice white head to it. I really don't, I gotta, like, collect my thoughts for a second. That was fantastic. When it comes to beers, I think this is gonna be, like, my go-to lager now. It was refreshing. It was very crisp, and it has so much flavor to it, but not so much that you're like overwhelmed, like when it comes to like IPAs or sours, if you know what I mean. I think this might become, like, minus OG Guinness, this might become like my favorite beer and my go-to at a bar on a summer day. I guess Guinness just really knows what they're doing when it comes to beer, because they made two beers on the opposite ends of the spectrum, which hit. Actually, wait, there's a thing. Yeah, no. Okay, so I got, hold on, let's put these to the side real quick. The box that I bought from my local liquor store. It's called the Irish Pub Pack. On this side, it says try a half and half. Fill your pint glass halfway with Harp or Smithwick's. Hold a tablespoon upside down over the glass and pour your Guinness over the spoon slowly so it trickles down to the sides of the glasses. It makes like a little half and half, and I'm definitely gonna try that. Actually, you know what? Hold on. I'm gonna rank the Harp S. Guinness is just the Guinness company. S tier all around. I'm very excited to try that. Pause while I go figure that out. All right, I hope this works because I'm gonna take the Guinness that I already poured instead of like opening another one and try to layer it on top of this one. It should work with how I know physics and density to work. It's working. I kinda got it to work a little bit. Nah, not my best work. Maybe at the end I'll go back and I'll crack open a fresh one to make it easier to pour. But this is what it looked like, and I'm excited to try it. So cheers to that. Bonus beer. Does it say to like mix it up, or it's just supposed to be half and half? I don't know. I'm gonna mix it. Maureen, don't yell at me if it's sacrilege. Maureen, you know who you are. But I'm gonna do it anyway. All right, let's try the Harp and the Guinness mixed together. I'm gonna call it a black and white. Cheers. It kind of just tastes like a watered down Guinness, but at the same time, the Harp takes the bitterness and the bite out of the Guinness and makes it just like more bubbly and smooth. The black and white, I'm gonna give like a B. That was okay. It wasn't, I was expecting like fireworks in my mouth, but it was fine. I'll go with a B. Next up we have Murphy's, which was founded in 1856 in Cork, Ireland, and is usually referred to as the sweeter stout, since it's a bit less bitter than Guinness and has a flavor closer to like a chocolate milk or caramel, to where many of the Irish locals in Cork prefer Murphy's to a Guinness. I've never had Murphy's or heard of it before doing this episode, so I'm kind of excited because I am a stout guy, and I feel there is the nitrogen capsule in this. So I'm expecting to get that nice sound. That was really good. I really hope the microphone picked that up. But let's shut up, crack it open, and give the pour so we could try Murphy's Irish Stout for the first time. That was weird. I felt that on my hand, like that was some pressure. Let's give it the same respect we did to Guinness and pour it out 3/4 of the way and let it settle for a bit before we pour the rest of it. Okay, so it's been settling for about like 30 seconds now, and it does look very similar to Guinness when you initially pour it, where all the like nitrogen bubbles are cascading down the side of the glass. So let's again time swipe to the proper 119.5 seconds. Okay, we're back. It's been 119.5 seconds, and they do look pretty similar to each other. Like, I'll put a split screen up of showing the Guinness and the Murphy's side to side, but this one's kind of darker than Guinness is, in my opinion. All right, I'm excited, especially because it's supposed to be chocolatey. Cheers, Murphy's Irish Stout. It's definitely less bitter than Guinness is, but it's kind of metallic on the back end, and I'm not sure if that's just because of the can, so I don't know if I should take the metallic flavor into consideration, but I want to go back in because I'm not really getting much of the chocolate or caramel. Slightly, I want to say. It kind of has a tinge of chocolatey flavor to it, not chocolate milk, but chocolate, but in my opinion, this is just like a wannabe Guinness. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just mean that like the bitterness of Guinness is what gives it that slight edge where it doesn't have a flat flavor, but this one kind of falls flat. I know what I said, that Guinness is like one of my favorite beers, if not my favorite beer. I'm not taking that into consideration when I'm talking about this. I'm just using the two to compare. I don't know, like I want to like it, but I feel like there's not enough there for me to like it. I'm genuinely trying really hard to tell you that I'm not pitting it against Guinness in like a personal preference way. With that being said, I think it's still a good beer, but I think I'm gonna have to put it at a B. Again, no disrespect to the people of Cork. I mean, I'm just some white boy from America that's drinking these, but it's not my favorite. And lastly, we have Forged Irish Stout, which is a relatively new beer that was created in 2021 by a group of people, which included Conor McGregor, who wanted to introduce a modern Irish stout that could compete globally with the already established heavy hitters like Guinness and Murphy's. The beer is brewed in Dublin, Ireland, and is designed to be a smooth, creamy stout with hints of chocolate and coffee notes, but with a slightly more approachable flavor profile for its international drinkers, which in my opinion is the right way to go about it. Like, if you're introducing a new product that already has so much history embedded into it, but for the modern consumer, you want to let them, like, have some familiarity, if that makes sense, in order to, like, get into that style of beer. So, I'm actually very excited to try this for the first time, because I already like stouts, but I know a lot of my friends who are beer drinkers don't like a stout because it's A, too bitter, B, flat, or C, they don't like the flavor of black coffee. You know, not for nothing, but Conor McGregor so far has made some pretty good alcohol. Like his whiskey, which I forgot what it's called, but I've had it and I am a whiskey drinker, specifically Irish. I forgot it was nitro. And a proper 12. I think he did a pretty good job with proper 12. So let's see if he did a good job with his beer. And again, we are going to pour 3/4 of it out and let it sit before pouring the rest. All right, it's been, again, 119.5 seconds as according to Guinness, and we let the beer settle. The biggest thing that I'm noticing between Forged and the other two stouts that we had is that the head is a lot larger on this one, and I don't know if that's just because of how I poured it, but there's more bubbles settling to the top. But what I do know is that I want to drink you, so let's give it a smell. Whoa. That smells so different than the Guinness or the Murphy's, where this really does smell chocolatey. So let's just give it a try and see if it really is like as chocolatey and coffee-like as they market it to be. So, cheers. Conor McGregor. You crushed Murphy's, I'll tell you that much. When it on the spectrum, if we're gonna say Guinness is S, which it is, and Murphy's, I forgot what, a B for not bad. This is like a really good in-between. That is really fucking good, mate. That is, oh my god, I'm very impressed. And it definitely gives that like creamy chocolate flavor without being overbearing. I'm gonna finish this on camera because this is that good. So, cheers. Holy I'm putting it on an S, but let's just say more or less like middle of the road AS. And I think my dad has had Forged before and likes it, and he is a huge Guinness guy. He's the reason why I like Guinness and also the reason why I like black coffee, and I can understand why he likes this. That was pleasantly surprising. Forged, officially stamped at the AS tier in between, but more leaning towards S. Wow, that was impressive. So if you're going out this St. Patrick's Day and you don't know what to drink, I will always recommend the king of Irish beers, Guinness, which I know isn't everybody's cup of tea, but if you want to start diving into that stout world, I honestly would recommend Forge. Like, Forged was everything Guinness is, minus the bitterness and slightly sweeter. But if you're not feeling these, not to jump on that bandwagon and say Harp, which I probably would, but I would say go with a Smithwick, because it's another traditional Irish beer with a very cool history to it, especially with the monks brewing it. But I did genuinely enjoy this, and if you haven't tried it yet, I would highly recommend it. And as always, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Those 3 things do really mean a lot and help me know what you guys want to see next. Anyway, thank you.